Okay. Hello, Nicole. It's awesome to see you virtually since a few years, I guess. Yeah. So, yeah, how's that life?
It's been pretty good. I feel like last time we saw each other was the summer sports that we did like every
Yeah.
year for a while. Yeah, and I was like, I always tell people about that, and yeah, it's been a while. So yeah.
Oh, yeah, we should bring that back,
I
but
actually was
obviously not
thinking
this
about it.
year. Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about it. I was like, man, this would be the perfect time to get people connected outdoors, super active. Get it going.
Yeah.
And I always talk about kickball. That was like the best day when we played soccer, baseball.
Yeah. Soccer. We did soccer, baseball. Then one year we did volleyball.
Yeah.
I think it was only 2 years. I don't know if we did something else.
We played we played grounders one time. Do you remember that? Flag
Mm,
football,
kind
soccer.
of.
I think
Yeah.
we played soccer. We played frisbee a few
No,
times.
maybe I didn't come to all of them. I remember the volleyball and the soccer, baseball, I think. Or
Yeah,
I don't know. Anyway, yeah, those are fun. Yeah, in the
they're so
summer we
much.
just
Yeah,
get a group of people, hang out, meet people once in a year for the most
yeah,
part, and
yeah.
then
It was so fun. And then you guys were part of like Team Swole, and I was always like, I want to be a part of Team Swole.
man,
That was so
honestly, I don't even
much
remember.
fun.
I just
Yeah,
yeah, it was a good time. Yeah, but now it kind of sucks because we can't really do it. 'Cause,
I
I mean,
know.
I want to hang out with people, and I've done workouts with people outside. Well,
Hmm.
just one person, but I
Yeah,
just feel like I don't know. I'm living with my family right now, so I don't want to get anyone sick. So I'm just
yeah.
scared to hang out with people.
I know for sure. It's stressful, and even yeah, just finding where to work out. Like all my stuff canceled too, so I'm like, what do I do? should I should I go for a walk or maybe sit on my couch? So
Yeah. Yeah, I've been running. Not so much lately, but I try to run once a week. Last month I did a walking challenge, which was basically just walk every day and walk more than my friend I was competing with. So
mhm.
he got like 50 kilometers and I got I think almost 80, so I won, which is
Ah,
awesome. And
congrats. That's jokes. That's a fun way though to stay connected and keep active.
that's what
I
I'm
feel like
saying.
it's
Like
hard.
I went to school with him, so I haven't seen him for a few years, and I just hit him up sometime. Actually, he did the podcast one time,
Mhm.
Amir, and yeah, I asked him if he wants to do a running challenge. That was in October, I think. So he agreed, and his girlfriend joined in, and
Oh, nice. That's summer sports right there. Come
yeah,
back.
but she's a savage. Like in the running challenge, I think I
Yeah.
ran 65 kilometers in a month.
Mhm.
My friend Amir did around 50, and she doubled him. So she did like 110 or
Wow.
something crazy.
That's awesome. I
So
wish.
anyway, that kind of planted the seed, and now we do a challenge almost every month. So
Yeah.
this month's kind of an off month. I think he's doing a biking challenge, but I'm doing 50 hip thrusts every day.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So yeah, hopefully that helps with the running, and because I have a really stiff lower back, so I think
Yeah.
that should help.
I feel like I should do that too. Like my legs cramp up when not like cramp, but like your stride, when you do your stride,
Mhm.
it like gets tighter. So it's like here versus like efficient running.
Right.
I think
Yeah.
that's
Do you
what's
run
stressful for
often?
me. I try to. So I was doing a lot of running in the fall. And
Mm.
then so I was doing a lot of training and then I started doing boxing when the gym opened up. So I would do
Mm.
boxing and picked up boxing again and like boot camps. And then now I'm probably going to pick up running again because everything's closed.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do enjoy it, but it always takes that first run. Like I haven't done my first run outside yet. Like I did a track
Yeah.
run on the weekend, but like a run. But
Mm.
we'll see. Hopefully after today, I'll be motivated to go and do it. Throw on my running shoes. So
So since you're doing the boxing, are you focusing on like sprints basically for runs?
Yeah, so I know that I can run like 10K. Like that's not a problem for me. I just
Oh,
need to
okay.
be faster. So again, when I say my run is like this, like I can run at this pace forever.
Yeah.
Um, it's like making sure that I'm quicker or like more efficient. I just want to get faster mainly. So that's what I was doing on the weekend where I was doing like tempo runs. So we would run 100, jog, walk, jog, and then do that
Oh,
over again. And so I think it's supposed to be a little bit harder this weekend, but so that's why I think I might go for a short run today, but make it quick.
hmm.
That way
Yeah.
my muscles know how
Yeah.
to be efficient.
Yeah. I've been like just last week, not last week, a few days ago, this weekend, I helped a friend of mine do time trials for
Oh,
800-meter time trials, basically. So we didn't have a track, but we just kind of measured 800 meters around my neighborhood. And we basically did a U shape.
mhm.
Uh, so he had to do 6 by 800 with a 6 minute break in between each run. And as
That's
soon as he does the
brutal.
first one, as soon
Yeah.
as he does the first one, he's like, "Man, this sucks so much." So yeah, we did six. He almost threw up. I did one, and yeah, now I'm interested. So this weekend I'm gonna do a 2 by 800 because I did only one last weekend,
Yeah. No, that's
and
good.
maybe try to like work my way up from there so that during the week it's like jogging and just
Mhm.
casual, but then once a week you're like, all right, this is the time to push myself.
Yeah, no, I feel like that's good. I did track in high school and like
Mm.
club track in high school and elementary school, and I could not run more than 400. I could not run more than 800. So hearing you say like, oh, this person's training for like it's 6 800s and you did one 800, I'm like, nah. By the time I'm done, like the first 200, I'm like chilling. I'm like, it's just this
Mm.
again. It's so hard. Like it's just not how my body's built. I don't think that where I'm like, okay, like you need to actually like at the
Mm.
consistent fast pace throughout the 800s. So difficult, at least for me. So
Yeah, I think the stride really comes into play. Even I did sprints in high school. I never did more than a 400.
yeah.
So when I did this 800, obviously I wasn't going at a 400 pace because
Mhm.
I didn't want to die, or exhaust myself basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I just did it because I was helping my buddy time, and I was like, well, I'm here. Let's do it.
Yeah. Just try. Yeah. No, that's smart. I forgot that you did track too.
Yeah. I don't, we probably saw each other at meets.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think it was until like towards the end of high school that I started meeting most of you guys. So
Yeah.
actually,
Yeah. So
yeah, it was probably towards like grade 11, grade 12.
I think so because we did summer school. That's where I first met you
Yeah,
in
yeah,
English class. And after that, I was like, oh, we had common friends basically, and
yeah, yeah, exactly.
yeah, and then the summer sports. Yeah, so that's
Summer
the whole
sports,
thing
yeah.
basically.
Good time.
But yeah, I've been focusing a lot on workouts. I'm not really training for anything. I would
Mhm.
like to do some kind of martial arts in the future,
Mhm.
like way in the future, like maybe 5 or 6 years. So right now, I'm just trying to do something every day, build up some kind of like discipline and make sure like learn how to use my body because I don't
Mhm.
want to go in and just get injured right away because I haven't been that active in the last few years. So
Yeah.
yeah, so running, walking, cycling,
Mhm.
hip thrust, things like that.
Do you know what kind of martial arts you want to get into? MMA?
No, no,
Everything.
no. I don't want to get hit in the head. I think it's cool, but just like I don't want to get hit in the head because
Oh yeah.
like for
I'm gonna get
work,
checked out.
I'd be, I don't mind getting choked out. Actually, I shouldn't say that because I've never been choked out, so I don't know
Yeah.
if I would mind it or not. But basically, I don't want head trauma because any job I do would require a lot of intense thinking and planning.
True. True.
Yeah.
Yeah, been hit in the face, been hit in the head. And yeah, it's weird. Like even my boxing coach, like every time he's like, oh yeah, you just said that boxer brain. And I'm like, like that's something I don't ever want to experience. Like now
Mm,
that you bring it up, like you need your brain a lot of time for, or all the time for, if it's, especially if it's for work or if you're in school or even just like
yeah.
any kind of mental training, it's very draining when you experience a head injury. So I
Yeah.
truly didn't even think about that until you mentioned it.
Yeah, I mean, I think so I watch the Joe Rogan podcast. It's
Mhm.
a big one. And he's a fighter. He has a lot of fighters on there. So yeah, he talks a lot about head trauma. And
Yeah.
from what I've heard, some people just doesn't they get hit a lot, nothing happens to them when they get older. Some
Hmm.
people just deteriorate. Um,
Yeah.
so I don't know. I mean, I think they're doing studies like how to reverse brain injury or prevent it, but I don't
Mhm.
really know much about it. So that might be something to look into if you're
Yeah.
gonna keep boxing.
So interesting. Yeah. I mean, like now I just do the training aspect. So I don't know if you, okay. So basically, let me just get into that a little bit.
Okay.
My work, we did a fundraiser. It was called Fight to End Homelessness. So we trained for 12 weeks, leading up to like November. So it was out the summer. It was only mandatory to attend once, but then the more people got into it, the more friends you started to make with all these random strangers. Um, the more you wanted to like go and see these people and train with these people and be like, man, this is the only opportunity that you can not pay for boxing and like have a good time
Yeah.
and raise money at the same time, right? Like it was all for a good cause. It was all around wins. So the 12 weeks happened, and then November was the big event. So it was a huge it was a Boxing Ontario sanctioned event. Had the lights, had the music, had the crowd. It was like very Vegas style. So it was like a really, really cool experience. And yeah, like the last couple of weeks, it was like, hey, I guess we should try getting hit in the face now, or we should try
Oh no.
we should try doing this. Cause the first little while, like even to get in the ring, it's you're like, okay, no headshots, no headshot first. So it was just like bodies and oh yeah, it would, and then eventually you're like, okay, like I need to know what it feels like because if you get like sting in the face and you're kind of like, you're done, you're disoriented, you don't know what to do, you don't know where you
Mhm.
are, the lights are everywhere. So and I came to a point where it's like, okay, like go for it, but to the face go a little bit lighter. But then obviously on the fight night, you're
Mm,
like some of the fights were savage. So they're
mm.
like I think myself and the person that I went in the ring with, we were I think one of the youngest groups of people. But we had ladies and men in their like 40s and 50s, and they were sick. Like when I say they were sick, like there was blood, there were concussions, there was a broken. I'm pretty sure some guy like dislocated his shoulder,
Oh,
like and again, no one had boxing experience. So it was just like really cool to be like, man, look at my bloody nose, look at my bruised lip. Some guy
yeah.
literally watched the doctor like put his shoulder back in it. And I was like, oh my God, I'm like gonna vomit in the back. Like, yeah. So it was a really, really interesting experience. So I don't ever train like that anymore. So and again, my biggest advice for anyone who's going to go boxing, if you're going to box or if you're going to like prepare for a fight, there's no other way to prepare yourself in like dodging and defense unless like a fist is coming directly at your face, which you'll learn quickly that it's not a good experience. So you're like, okay, got to get out of the way, like got to get
Yeah.
out. So um, yeah, even now where I'm like, oh, I want to work on the defense piece, but I don't ever want to put those helmets on and like start going for it. So.
So so you do the training, but you don't fight anymore? Was that the only fight?
No, yeah. So it was a one-time thing, and I continued with the boxing because a friend of mine
Oh,
and some people opened up a gym, and they
yeah.
provided the boxing experience. So I did. I'm doing the boxing and boot camps downtown. So
Oh, I see. Okay, well that's good. Yeah,
Mhm.
I was kind of worried. I was thinking you're going into fights and then that's why I brought up the head trauma thing, but
True.
I'm
Yeah.
sure it's probably safe in sparring, isn't it? I mean, you probably
Yeah.
get hit, but maybe not as hard.
Yeah. Like I haven't sparred since again like 2019, but yeah, it's pretty. I think it's pretty good. Like you
Oh,
have you have good communication with the person you're in, like, hey, let's figure it out. Let's not go too hard. Like a lot of the times that's how we did it, where it's like, hey, like no headshots or like nothing to
hmm.
the face. That was a common one with the the other ladies I was training with. So it's like, don't hit my face yet. Like wait for that.
Hmm.
So I have a really funny story about the training.
Yeah.
Um, if you don't mind me sharing.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So we were, this was the first time we were doing sparring. So I go in, so there are some ladies who were going in, some men who were going in, and I was like, hey, I'll go. And then I was like, let me spar with the trainer who like like the amateur boxer here. And so I was cheesed the whole time because he's like, yeah, yeah, yeah. He would like bonk me on the head, and it was like soft, like boop, boop, where's your defense? And I was like, oh, and if you remember, like I'm very competitive. And I remember one time he just puts his arms around his head and he's like flexing his abs, and he's just like, hit me, hit me. And I was like, oh my God, I just want to hit you in the face so bad. So that was my first time sparring. But then the second time, uh, there was she was a teenager, she's 15, and she was pretty sick at boxing. Like she was obviously experienced versus the rest of us. And again, it was myself, and I was 27 at the time. So 27, we were the youngest. I was one of the youngest people, and then everyone else was like in their 30s, 40s, 50s. I'm not sure if we had any 60-year-olds, but I wouldn't be surprised if we did. And so everyone was like, "Hey, let's go in." And the young teenager, the keener, was like, "Oh, like sure, like I'll spar with you." And so again, the agreement's like, "Hey, we're going in, no headshots, like just bodies or whatever." So the one lady goes in to fight this teenager or spar with this teenager, and then she comes out and she's like, oh my God, like that was brutal. She's like, she's hitting me in the head. And they're like, it was literally like a movie where like we would huddle and be like, hey, you're next, take her. So then
Oh.
the next lady would put on the headgear, go in and was like, hey, no headshots. Like seriously, no headshots. You were doing headshots with the other person. Let's not do that. She's like, yeah, yeah, it's good. And again, you have so much energy when you're in high school, like you don't get tired. And we were just doing
Yeah.
1 minute. So she's like, bah, 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 like going for it, hitting in the head. And they're like, she's like, after the 1 minute, she's like, what? She's hitting me in the head. Like, she's like, who's next? Who next? Someone take her. So there's another woman that goes in, was like, hey, again, no headshots, no this, no that. And so that was the last one. And then she had a break, and then I was just watching, and I was like, I don't want to do this. And they're like, Nicole, no, you're going in next. You're gonna
Oh
get
no.
her. You're gonna beat her. And I was like, oh my God. I've seen her. She's a savage. She was 6. So I was like, oh my God. I was like, as if like it was a true movie moment. So I go in and I was like, hey, this is a lot different than the amateur boxer or professional or amateur boxer that I was already sparring with. So again, I was this 15-year-old, and I was like, hey, like you're young at heart, get that energy going. So I'm trying to spar. I was like, hey, no headshots. I'm like kind of go or like dodging, whatever. And again, I don't know how to box. So I'm like jogging around to make sure it doesn't get me, or like I had no footwork. So I would be like, okay. But I remember she was going for it, and I was like, yo, what the heck? So I was like, da, 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 da. And like when at the end of it, because she was gassed. So I was like, okay, I got her at the greatest time. And like I think I
Wow.
was a little bit more competitive to her. So that then she was crying. She's like, oh my God, my knee. And I was like, great. Now I'm the person that hurt this teenager. But I just like, again, the moments of being like, yo, man, like you're in next. Like it was like legit, like
Right.
a movie. And then when I went in, so already tired, then she hurt her knee. And it's like, it was just such a funny experience, because the whole time I was like, I already know these ladies are going to tag me in at the end. I'm like, I don't want to do this. This girl's probably so tired. But yeah, it
Wow.
was.
So you were the closer. That's
I
crazy.
was, yeah, I was the closer for this teenager. So it was pretty joke. And fun fact, I was a closer for the Fight to End Homelessness event as well. So
Oh.
yeah,
Oh, you were the main event.
we were the
Okay.
main event. Yeah.
Wow.
Mhm.
That's how is the like the crowd like what it like is it like you get super amped up with the crowd, the lights, the music,
Yeah.
you're trying not to get hit basically? Like how is
Yeah.
that?
So like the whole night I had like mental breakdowns, like that throughout the process. Again, it was a lot of like, okay, take care of your mental health. Like
Yeah.
your mental health is deteriorating because of the pressure.
Yeah.
And it was more like, hey, you're going in and you're doing something you've never done before in front of a huge crowd. So I was like, hey, like relax, it's fine. But like again, in the back, I was like bawling and I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, why?
What am I doing? Why am I
Yeah,
doing
I'm like,
this?
what did I get myself into? And I always joke with like my friends and my family, like I felt like the gladiator, like, are you not entertained? Like that's the final event, right? So I think mainly why we were the final event because the girl I was fighting, so we both work for the same cheer gym. We're both on the same cheerleading team. We also both work at YOU together. And so we were like, oh, how cool would it be if we just did a backflip before we started fighting? So I think that added that additional hype where everyone's like, oh, I think they're going to backflip. I think they're going to backflip. So then we go in and they're like, ding, ding, ding. So we like hit gloves and then we take a step back, whip out the backflip. And then it was like, ah! So it was like that added hype. So when I say there was hype, yeah, like there was hype. And the choice of song, like your walk-in song was like hype too. And mine was like a very dancey song. So again, the crowd was a little bit older, so they're like, yeah. And I was just dancing and I was like, gonna throw up. Like, oh yeah, it was awful. So yeah, it was a sick fight because like my nose bleeds all the time. So my nose is bleeding. The other girl had like a bruised lip. We would look at each other like, are you okay? She's like, yeah.
That's funny.
Because they're 1 minute fights. So we'd be like, okay, like go for it. Take a step back, pretend you're like getting back into it. We're like, you good? So yeah, it was pretty hype.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like it, especially the way you tell the story. You know, it's
I love
getting hyped up. So yeah, it sounds like it was a terrible experience going through it, but in hindsight, you probably wouldn't change it, right?
No, yeah, it was a pretty amazing experience. And just even at the end of the night, so we were the last fight, people are over it. It was like 11:15. People are wanting to go home, people are pissed drunk. So I remember so many people coming up to me, going up to the other girl and being like, you don't understand what it means to see two young ladies finishing off the night. Like
True.
see like, and that was like probably 4 or 5 women who would be like, yo, like that was so badass. Like even the fight before us were one is a police officer and the other again worked for YOU, but their fight was sick. But to put us at the very end and like be the closer, be the final event, it meant a lot to like me, but it also meant a lot for the other people being like, yo, like this is like 2 young women going at it, like gloves up, mouth guard, like the full thing. And we had some people who were crying to me. They're like, this was so amazing. Like, I was like, wow, like that, like, remember why you did it. Like, remember why, like, what does it mean to you? What's the impact? So yeah, we were raising money. I was getting free workouts, learning how to box again. So for me, there was a lot of benefits, but at the end of the day, like that impact that came back to me being like, it was so empowering. It was so, it was inspiring to see again, two young women finish off a night. That's typically like a social norm, like boys thing to finish off the night. You get the men to finish off the night. So yeah, it was like really that feeling. I got getting like heebie-jeebies a little bit. Like that feeling felt really good to be like, oh my God, like this wasn't just for me, it was for other people as well.
So who won the fight?
You already know.
There you go. Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, no, it was again, it was an unreal experience. And yeah, I was, for me again, like I think fighting for me, sparring or not sparring, going in the ring meant more to me, just because I for me again, my mental health, I was like, I have so much more to prove. And that was in my head. So I was actually getting in my own head by being like, I have to win, I have to do this, I have to do that. And I'm like, Nicole, relax, it's a fundraiser, just chill, you're doing it for a good cause. And me and the other person were having that conversation all the time where yeah, like you have to just chill. This is a good cause. And I was like, yes, it is a good cause, but I also can't lose. So
Mm.
yeah, it meant a lot to me to win as well, um being a person of color and being like representing like my
Mm.
fan, like not even like it wasn't even like a huge thing, but it did mean a lot to me to train and represent, and that kind of showed with even how the women at the end were coming up to me and being like, it was so great seeing two young women finish off the fight. And I was like, yeah, like I hope other people who see me can see
Mm.
that I'm also like a 5'2" Asian young woman who also
Wow.
did it, right? So having people see that is, I think, important to me. Oh, I don't think it's important. I do know it's important to me.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's as far as generally like I guess mainstream media, because I don't know the correct word to use, but like TV, movies,
Yeah.
ads and stuff, they're a lot more uh, focused on like putting women at the front, kind of
Mhm.
especially where they haven't had the attention in the past. Like for
Mhm.
example, I follow the NBA, the Toronto Raptors, and there's a show
Yeah.
called the Jump, which is on ESPN, which I watch on YouTube. And yeah, they sometimes they talk about the WNBA and just through that,
Keyword
when you see
sometimes even,
the
right?
yeah, that's well, I mean, the show is specifically focused on the NBA as
Mhm.
far as I know. So they talk they talk about the WNBA, and they have guests who are players from the league. But
Mhm.
anyway, my point is, for me, that's basically the jumping off point. So after watching that for a few months or a year, um, I noticed, oh, there's a WNBA game on. Let me check it out. Whereas
Mhm.
before, I wouldn't really check it out because I don't like I just would watch the NBA and
Yeah.
there's no
Oh
reason
yeah.
to get into it. But just the fact that you see people talk about it, it's like, oh yeah, well yeah, I guess I'll check it out.
Yeah,
And
that exposure a little bit more and get
yeah,
that hype too, right? So
yeah. So it's cool to hear that you had such a what's the word, like if someone's crying, obviously it meant something to them, so
oh my
I don't
gosh,
know
I know.
I don't know what I've done that's made someone cry with gratitude ever.
Mhm.
So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, it was a really cool experience. So would I ever do it again? No. Would I box
Yeah.
again? I currently, yeah, aside from all gyms being closed throughout the pandemic, yeah, like I would still do it, just not really get punched in the face again. Need my brain.
So as for the training, aside from specific boxing skills, what kind of conditioning or strength or endurance training did you do?
So we always did conditioning at the end, so it was a lot of abs. And I think in that point in my life, I was just trying to lose a lot of weight, or you're trying to match the other fighter, right? So I had a lot of weight to lose, so I was trying to do a little bit more running. And I don't know, I don't, you've never boxed before. 1 minute rounds are like brutal. It's like high intensity skipping for 1 minute. And if anyone's familiar with skipping,
Yeah.
skipping is like tiring. Like you're like, after a couple skips, you're like, okay, I've done it. And you're like, oh, it's been
Yeah.
10 seconds. But yeah, it's like when you're in the minute. So we did 1 minute, 1 minute in the ring, and then I think a 30-second break. But so I was like, okay, I need to be able to keep my endurance up for 1 minute. And that sounds ridiculous. So I was trying to go for runs and doing abs. And what I've learned more now that I've been a little bit more technical in my training for boxing, it's you need abs and you need your legs. So
Okay.
you can't really have a good punch or a powerful punch unless you have leg strength and abs. So we're doing like 5 minutes of abs during, like, at the end of the training. And so what I was doing specifically was just, I'm like, hey, try skipping, try going for a run. uh, but yeah, I wasn't as intense then. Like thought I was, but I was more like in the ring type thing. But now I'm more like, hey, like what's actually efficient? What do you actually need to throw a powerful punch? What do you need to do to ensure your strength for a
Right.
torque punch? So how I was training back then is a little bit different than now. So, but yeah, I was just trying
Yeah.
to whatever that
So
was. So running and training and going multiple times a week. So
yeah. Yeah, as a runner, I run a lot, and I've over the years I've developed pretty stiff legs and
yeah,
like calves and hips and hamstrings. So uh, and the hips I'm sure come into kicks, but I guess you weren't doing kickboxing, so that's not really.
no, yeah, but you
Uh,
do need it though because it's all in that twitch, right? Like it's
yeah, you got
not
to torque
here.
it.
It's like your whole body. Like it's a like if you remember like old school action figures where they're like,
Yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah.
exactly
Because
what like
like when
punches.
you throw a punch, and I'm talking about this without basically any experience, but basically if you're stepping into it, and you're torquing your body, you're
Yes.
taking all the force from that from your whole body and releasing it through your fist, basically. And
Yes. Yeah.
yeah, if you can't rotate, you're just going to load up on your shoulders, and it won't be as strong, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's not something that was highlighted as much in 2019 when I was training, but more so now, which I'm glad. It just makes it it's easier too. It's a lot more efficient because you're like gassed after doing this, right? And you're like, oh,
Hmm.
my punches are like so soft. But now it's like, no, you actually like put your body into it, and ends up being way stronger, way more efficient. You're not as tired. Your legs are more tired, your abs are more tired, but then it's a lot easier. Like those are the bigger muscles. So it's not as bad.
Yeah, yeah, my workouts typically now are focusing on well, every day I try to do a 30-minute I it's more of a stretch at night. So I'll do some like body weight squats, maybe lunges. But the whole idea is to just get the joints kind of moving. So I'll be on all fours and kind of rotate my legs in a circle, clockwise and counterclockwise. So yeah, I figure that if I can get my mobility and flexibility up first, then I should focus on strength and
Mhm.
being sturdy. So yeah, but you really learn how stiff you are when you start doing something every day, and you're
Yeah,
like, how come I can't go that deep in a squat? Like
yeah,
it's
yeah.
it's I don't know. It's every day I think I know why I'm stiff, and I at the end by the end of the workout I'm like I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, I think even with the boxing, so I was, I guess, along with the training in boxing and going for runs, um, I was also on a cheerleading team.
Right.
So a lot of my training would also be at the gym twice a week. But what I actually noticed from the torque and the twisting and like using your legs was that my one leg was more stiff than the other. So my right hip flexor is way more tight than my left
Uh,
one. So when I did backflips, my when you tuck into a ball, so
yeah.
your shins come up, right? One leg was a little bit, I think it was this way. One leg was closer to my chest than the other. And I think
Right.
it's because they weren't as quick as like one leg wasn't as quick as the other, or one wasn't as flexible as the other. So when I was actually starting to train again more intently with cheer because our season was coming up, I would land crooked, or I would land like 1 foot first, or it would always be not as clean, the cheer term clean, as a tuck should be. And I watched a video of it in slow time, and it was legit. My one leg was higher than the other as I flipped over. So then that would cause me to rotate to the side. So if you're trying to do a backflip on the line and you end up on the quarter mat, that's not a clean tuck type thing. So um, I started noticing that tightness when I started boxing, especially. So
So yeah, I'm really curious about that because I also have I can feel the imbalance in my basically my whole body. Like the
mhm.
left side is stiff and the right side is free, and in different motions you can like even when you're just running, you're,
Yeah.
you
Oh yeah.
after like a 20 minutes of jogging, then the stiffness really shows. It's like, oh,
Mhm.
it's like I'm limping now. But yeah, I'm really curious because how, like, what's your strategy for balancing it out?
So actually, when you were talking about being limber and the strength training to come after, I almost feel like you can do a little bit of both at the same time. Like you were saying, you're doing body weight squats and lunge and stuff.
Yeah.
That's technically stretching as well. So I think what
Okay.
you're doing is, I wouldn't say separate the two, but when you do lunges, you can try different variations of lunges, and that's what I've learned
Okay.
throughout like my personal training at the gym that I'm working at. Like I'm obviously not doing it anymore, but um, I would see myself doing squats or deadlifts where I'm like, oh, I'm shifting over to one side. So my trainer would give me a medicine ball. So I would have to actually do more reps now, but I would do it on one side and do it on the other side. So I'm strengthening both sides, but individually. And then
Mm.
a lot of stretching. So I have tight hamstrings and tight calves. And I didn't realize my calves could be so tight because I don't feel them as tight. And I just thought it was my
Mhm.
hamstrings. So something simple like, okay, you're doing lunges, but you're going to do hyperextended lunges. So
Mm.
typically you're supposed to keep everything in a right angle, but he's like, that's for range. And I was like, oh, okay. And he gets very technical, like he's very good at what he does. So he was getting very technical with me with like how to make sure I try to keep things even, because yeah, even when you put more weight on, like I could see myself in the mirror. And again, this is like in February, I was like, oh, like I'm actually like doing this every time I squat, I'm coming up on one side, and you try to even it out. And
Right.
um, a lot of it's core too. He's like, I never just train core. He's like, you're training your core when you're training everything else too. So what I would
Right.
recommend, I guess, or what I'm doing right now is like training each side individually,
Yeah.
obviously together at times, but then one side at a time, and kind of make sure that they're even. What you're doing right now with the stretching, I think, is important, which is again motivating me to also
Yeah.
do that
Yeah.
on my own time. I got a yoga mat yesterday or 2 days
Hey.
ago, so yeah, I'm like, okay, better get to it. Yeah, that's kind of, I know I'm not really, I don't have that kin background, but just learning from how I'm being trained or how I was being trained, it was helpful to understand. And then when you're mindful of it, when you see it, when you feel it, then you're kind of like, oh, I don't want to feel like this. This is how it should feel like. And when you do things properly, it's actually way more efficient. You're less tired.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what
Maybe I
yeah.
should be lazy.
That's yeah. Your body ends up compensating, and
Mhm.
if if you've compensated for years, you won't even know there's a difference because
Exactly.
I mean, that's like you can move around, you can run, you can do everything, but it's just
Mhm.
not right. And yeah, but that's yeah, what you say about training each side, that is the idea I've started. So in the hip thrust challenge, my challenge is to do 50 every day. So usually I go for 50 with both
Nice.
legs. So I use a chair and I rest my heels on the chair and just hip thrust up and down.
Yeah.
So I go for 50 with both legs, and then I go for 5 to 10 individually with the
Mhm.
left leg and the right leg. And yeah, you definitely notice it's yeah. So
Like one
that's
gets like
that's
tired more than the other. Yeah.
yeah. It's the weird thing is when you do it, like if I do it with my left leg right now, the the strain is on the outside of my leg, like the outside of the hamstring,
Mhm.
uh, and the calf. But if I do with my right leg, it's more on the lower back. So my guess is
Oh.
the compensation over the years has stiffened
Mhm.
different parts.
Yeah.
So the 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 important thing I try to remind myself always is that uh, you won't solve the problem in a day,
Mhm.
and that really bothered me when I started doing daily workouts. I was like, I thought it was supposed to help. Like I don't
Yeah.
feel
Oh yeah. I'm
any
the same way.
different. But it's only when you look at it months or years at a time you realize uh, something has changed. So
Mhm.
when I first came back to London a few years ago, I used to ride the stationary bike at home. Just doing like 2 or 3 minutes would just really hurt my my calf and hamstring behind the knee area. And now, I can go like 30, 40 minutes, and it's like, you only realize that if you keep up with it. Because if I had stopped doing the cycling, like that insight wouldn't show up, because you're not comparing it to how you were before. So in that way, it's really important to keep doing something every day. And so I'm trying
I like that. It's, you can't compare yourself now versus now. It's always like, kind of look back. Like, did you stick with it? How did you progress? You've probably improved then versus now, where things have changed then versus now. And I think related to working out, but also like life in general, right? Like things are so different from when you started cycling 2 years ago with everything. So then you can like, again, looking back on that and be like, yeah, things are better, things are improving, things are changing. So I like what you said.
I went for a bike ride on the road last summer. I'm never doing it again, because when a truck passes you, it's so scary. I mean, I might do it again, but I'm gonna go to like trails first, and I just don't want to get hit. I feel like it's an unnecessary risk to ride on the road.
Yeah.
So anyway.
It's scary.
I
usually do
one, I do want to ask you about the cheerleading, but before that, so first, I used to go to the gym a lot, and I think I was just doing everything wrong, because I wouldn't really work out with anybody. I would just kind of like power through like squats and deadlifts, things like that. But now I've taken a different approach. There's a soccer field near my house, so I'm just making stuff up. Like I went for a run 2 days ago, and then I went to the soccer field. I did one set of suicides,
nice.
Cross the field, come back, then split it into threes. And then I did 10 burpees, and I want to get a 10 or 12-pound ball, and then just like a heavy ball from Walmart or wherever, and then just throw it at the ground, basically. I feel like that's really
like
good
ball
for your
slams?
back.
Ball slam burpees?
Oh, yeah. I didn't think about that. That would be crazy.
I've done so many boot camps where we do that, and I'm like, this sucks. It's so good.
Yeah, I want to do it on purpose, because I feel like I can enjoy the suck. It's like,
it's so fun. Like, like again, when I go to boxing, when I go to boot camps, I'm the worst for complaining, by the way. I'm always like, or I'm like grunting, or I'm like, this sucks. Like speed and power, you're like giving her like hard, and then it's like speed, and you're doing as many as you can, and like legit tears sometimes where I'm like, this sucks so much. Or the ball slam burpees, and then you're doing normal burpees, and then your single-legged burpees, and I'm like, this sucks so much. But I always tell the trainers and the coaches, I'm like, I pay money for this though. I'll see you tomorrow. Like, it just feels so good to hurt that much. So I do love the feeling, and I recommend the feeling. And even if you can't feel your legs the next day, I at least feel like my workout it's worth it, because I feel a little bit more sore. I feel like I've pushed myself. And
the complaining, like for me too, for a long time I've tried just not to complain, because when I was a kid I would complain. People don't like hearing people complaining, so they get annoyed. But now I've realized it's just part of my process. I mean, I don't really work out with people that much, so I guess I can't really compare it. But the point is, my complaints sometimes come out in the form of a sigh, or you drop your head. You're just like, but then you take a deep breath in, and then you just keep doing it. I think that's the important part. Even if you complain, it's like, if it's just part of your process, you just got to go through it, and hopefully your trainer understands that.
He knows, and she knows, like they all know. And even the trainer, like the personal trainer that I was doing before lockdown, he was like, instead of like complaining, you could be exhaling. So now it's like a little bit more intentional when I'm strength training versus when I'm just boxing. When I'm boxing, I'm like, like gas, like exhaling in in a sound, in a very annoying sound, I will describe it as. And then when I did the personal training, it was very like, hey, like instead of doing that, like try to exhale, and the breathing, he's like, that engages your core actually. So this is like two birds, one stone. If you're gonna make noise, you might as well breathe. And I was like, oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I
It
like
makes
that.
sense.
It's like he's convincing you to complain in a different way, which is actually useful.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Use your
genius, I
body to
think.
complain. Yeah. Like even when it came to like doing like shoulder press or whatever, and he's like,
Mhm.
inhale, and he's like, and so like as you
Yeah.
exhale, it's like that flex at the very end. You're like, oh, and you're, yeah. So
And
I
you
was
release the
like, cool.
tension, like
Yep.
the physical tension you can tie into your mental anguish or whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, so, uh, so tell me about the cheerleading. I saw somewhere, I think an Instagram post, you went to the world cheerleading
Yeah,
competition.
we went to Worlds last year, or I guess 2019 as well, which is amazing experience. I've gone to Worlds as a spectator prior to that, and it was unreal. So to compete with other all-star teams was a whole new experience. Again, I don't think I'm the best ever cheerleader ever, but it always just comes down to like, are you trainable? You follow instructions, do you apply corrections, that kind of thing. And again, I complain throughout, but what I really liked about cheerleading is like the team aspect of it. So yeah, we went to Worlds in 2019. That was in April. So many different countries. Like my favorite thing is to go meet people from different countries, and
Mhm.
like I saw, like I'm Filipino, so I saw like Team Philippines, and that was really cool. And everyone from Finland's like super super attractive, so it was really cool seeing them, and as well as the Koreans. Like oh man, like I always like love going to go see them, and everyone sits within their country, but there's a lot of mingling as well. So it was really cool to see that. And again, Canada, I don't know why I cry every single time I watch them in real life. Like it's just like an uproar of like Canadian pride, and as well as the other countries. Like everyone has a cheer, like a country cheer.
Yeah.
And it's cool that everyone knows each other's cheer, and like you have the minute of everyone doing the cheer, and it's just really cool. So then when we competed after, um, yeah, it was interesting. Like I'm a mom, so I was away from my daughter for a week, which was hard for me, but at the same time it was cool to be able to be like, yeah, like can show my kid like, yeah, I went to Worlds, and last year we didn't get to go because of the COVID-19, the coronavirus. So I was really happy to be able to do that once in my life. And yeah, I brought home my participation medal to my kid. She wears it around. Like it was really cool. And you get a free pass, or you pay for the pass, but got to go to Disney World, do all the parks, and be
So,
out in the sun. Yeah.
okay, so, my idea of cheerleading, I know basically nothing about it, but
Yeah.
to me, I don't understand.
Mhm.
It's okay. As a competition, I understand you're competing with other teams and you're scored on. My guess is, your uh, how synchronized you are, the level of just stunts you can pull off, and
Mhm.
I don't actually. It sounds pretty complicated now that I think about it, but yeah, I just don't get it. I don't know. I'm not explaining it properly. Like I'm not saying it's bad or it's dumb or anything. I really admire it, but
It's a very
like
subjective sport,
like
right?
what is it? Because you see cheerleaders at sporting events, and
Mhm.
in that context, the idea is to keep the crowd engaged,
Mhm.
and I mean that's what I look at it. But in a competition, it's just about the level of difficulty of and how you pull it off. Is that it?
Yeah, so I've never done sidelines, which is like at sports games. But
Okay.
from being in close friendships with like the coaches of like Western Co-ed, my coach who did like Western All Girl, like people who've also been on the team. they use the sidelines, so like the games, to do repetitions of their skills, which if you think about
Oh,
it, they have practice throughout the week, but then during football games, they're doing the same skills over and over and over again. So by the time competition season comes along, those skills are finessed. They
right.
are like exquisite. Like it's you spin someone, catch them at the top, like ding, and it's like not even gonna move it. Like it looks like it's effortless. So that's kind of how I perceive sidelines more in relation to the all-star, like the competitive cheer.
Mhm.
Um, Also um, the sidelines, like I'm not too familiar with. I've always just been like an
Okay.
all-star cheerleader. But from knowing people who did sidelines, like that's what they do. Like you can tell, like that's an additional 3 hours a week of just doing skills that you're good at and making sure that they're flawless by the time you go into competition season. And then
Okay.
yeah, and then yeah, like when you throw something in the air and it looks like it spins and flips and stuff, kind of like if you've never seen anything before, you're kind of like, oh my gosh, that was exciting, do it
Oh,
again, right? So any kind of engagement um, is going to be a positive in the crowd, or it's definitely
right.
less common now, right? Like I would say there's like a football touchdown cheer that Western does, and I can't remember the
Mhm.
full thing. We had to learn it, but everyone knew the chant, you do the actions, and you don't see that as much as anymore. Sorry, I
No
keep burping.
problem.
um,
I mean, do you need to
but
get water or you're good?
sorry.
Do you need to get water or are you
Oh,
good? Okay.
I'm good, thank you.
I mean, I get anytime someone is spinning in the air, I get so scared. I'm just like, I really hope someone catches this person.
Yeah, concussions, right? Like what we were talking about
Oh,
earlier.
God.
Like if you don't catch her, you catch her the wrong way. That's a huge body and head injury. So
I just that's a lot of trust. I mean, so in these competitions, are you the one being thrown up in the air?
no.
Okay.
Believe it or not, I am too big to be a top. So tops are
Oh,
usually like 5 feet, like probably around my height, but I am very muscular, like a little bit like heavier. And I don't consider myself to be heavy, but tops are usually like 100 to 115, 20 pounds.
okay,
I'm
okay.
also scared of heights, so I can't even imagine
Wow.
being thrown up and try. Like I would probably like if I was thrown, I'd be like, "Where's the ground? Catch me!" And then like hit
Yeah.
people on the way. And I would be like, "Yeah." So
Ah!
yeah. So for me, like, no, I've never been a top. I'd also be scared, but I think it would be fun to try. I don't
Hmm.
know how I would do in the air, but I've always been a base. And I've only really competed in all girls. So girls holding girls versus co-ed is like
Hmm.
the guys throwing up the girls. So yeah.
Right. Man.
But what you were talking about competitive cheer, like yeah, you're based on synchronicity, level of difficulty, and ratios. Ratios is a new one where if you have a team of like 16 and you have
Mhm.
one stunt, but you have another team of 16 and they have like 3 stunts, 4 stunts, the more people you can
Okay.
synchronize and do the same level of skills, the higher your score will be. Um,
Wow. This sounds like it's a really uh the scoring sounds really technical and like very sounds like a crazy sport because you have to be physical, you have to be flexible, you have to be creative, you have to execute. This sounds really
yeah.
intense.
Yeah, it's kind of like the best of both worlds for anyone who is a gymnast who doesn't like gymnastics much and wants to do the dance, and the
Yeah.
dancers who want to get into the gymnastics. And anyone who, yeah, it's like I did gymnastics when I was younger, and
Okay.
I danced when I was younger as well. So kind of bringing both worlds together and doing like sharper, rigid motions was again a different kind of dance that I was used to, but I liked being able to be like, hey, I'm gonna do a backflip here, and then I'm gonna do like
Hmm.
motions here, and then I'm gonna throw someone over here, and I'm gonna make a structure over here, right? Like it does require a lot, I would say, but again, I'm very biased. I love cheerleading. I've been doing it since I was in high school, so it does
Okay.
take a lot.
Are you still doing it? I mean, not now, obviously, but
Yeah, so I basically so we were supposed to go to Worlds in 2020. We were training up until then. The team didn't really exist this year, and I also was saying that 2020 was going to be my last year. So
Oh,
just like you, I was actually looking into a different kind of sport or a martial art. So I actually almost got
right.
into jujitsu.
Yo, that's the only reason I don't know if I actually want to do it or I've just heard Joe Rogan say jujitsu a million times. That's the only thing that comes to mind. But it
Yeah,
sounds like it's dangerous, but at least you won't get hit in the head.
yeah, yeah. So that was kind of my thing where I was like, hey, when I'm done cheerleading, maybe I'll join the gym that my partner goes to. But then boxing just kind of fell into my lap. But I might start doing it. But I don't know if you know anything about jujitsu. I'm learning more so now that in order for you to level up or get your next belt, you have
Built.
to do a Shark Tank. And when I witnessed the Shark Tank, I was like, hell no!
Wait. What? What are you talking
Shark
about?
Tank, yeah. So basically, everyone for your gym, it's kind of like an old school foreign Asian movie where it's like one person versus lots of people.
Oh, you have
Yeah,
to do that?
yeah. So what you have to do, like you don't have to like win, but you basically have a line of people and you do like 1 minute where you roll.
Yeah.
After the minute's done, the next person in line comes and rolls. So you get a fresh person and you're doing this for a full hour.
A full
So I was like,
hour?
I'm gonna stay white belt forever. I don't ever want to experience that. Like,
Oh my God. That
yeah.
sounds like it would
So
take years of training to get to that point.
yeah. So I know that there are different. Every gym, every style is a little bit different, but it does take a while, and you get your stripes on your belt first, and then
Mhm.
before you get your next color, then you have to perform a series of skills in order to go on to the next belt,
Yeah.
and then at that ceremony, it's also like, hey, Shark Tank, this is so much fun. But everyone saying that jiu-jitsu was like, it's the best. And I was watching this, and again, my partner was just at the gym, like, and these people were getting their blue belts, and he was like, hey, do you want to come watch it? And I was like, yeah. And he was just like, every couple minutes, get back in line and fight or no, roll with another person. So yeah, I was like, wow. That was like
Yeah.
the biggest my biggest kind of way for jujitsu. But the more I like talk about it, the more comfortable I get with it. I'm like, this could be like fun. This could be beneficial. And again, you don't get hit in the head. You
Yeah.
do get choked out, and like I like to wrestle for fun. So
Yeah.
it's like you're kind of like, oh, okay, like let
What
go, like
happened? What happened?
yeah. And the
Man.
boxing trainer, boxing coach that I actually do, he also does jujitsu, and he's
Mm.
like, it's cuddle fighting, like you're just giving hugs and choke the person out. And I'm like, yeah, good call. If you ever want to hug and also try to fight for your life, this is a great sport to do.
Okay, I never would have thought to put hugging and
Cuddle,
hurting
yeah,
someone together. I mean,
cuddle fighting.
yeah, I think I'm soft right now, so I'm gonna spend a few years hardening myself up with like doing workouts, and then yeah, because I don't want to meet a savage and then I just get destroyed and I get injured.
I think it's a very like a very transparent sport, right? Like the way my partner was saying is that when you go in, it's like you trust the other person that they're not going to completely annihilate you when you're training, right?
Right.
So that for me too, I was like, I need to get fit before I try. And he's like, well, you can kind of get fit while you're there, right? You start
Oh, okay.
incorporating more muscles and into your balance, and so I was just kind of like, okay, yeah, but nah, thanks, but no thanks. And yeah, I feel that too, where I was like, I don't want to go in and just suck and whatever, but it's
Yeah.
like that's kind of the best part of it. You can go in not knowing, and then your progression is like it just
Yeah.
goes up. So
Yeah. I think what I might do is just like Google or YouTube jujitsu drills or something, just try to get a
yeah,
feel for it. Something
yeah,
I can do on my own, and then yeah. But
a
yeah,
lot
that's
of
cool. Are you still planning to get into jujitsu then, or are you gonna stay with boxing or do both?
Maybe both. Like I haven't seriously entertained jujitsu really because of COVID. Boxing, you at least have a bag, you're in your own space. Jujitsu, like
You're
you're
breathing
really
on
close
people.
to people.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also like hate touching other people when they're sweaty. Like
Yeah.
like I know that sounds like so like
I don't like that
weird
either.
for me to like say, but like if I have my arm around your neck and you're slimy because you're sweating, right? Like, or if I'm trying to grip your wrist and you can like
It just
slide
slides
through,
on.
yeah, I'm like, it's not really what I'm into. Like, I don't like feeling other people's sweat.
Yeah.
It's another reason why I'm like, I don't know if I'll fully entertain it. I think the idea is really cool. Maybe just like, again, same as you, doing the drills and like messing around every once in a while. That's kind of the extent of my jujitsu right now and kind of where I'm at in terms of.
Yeah. You know Alan Rowe, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just did a podcast with him, and he posts some of his dances and other stuff on his Instagram. And in one of his videos, he was showing a jujitsu drill he does. It's like you lay on your back, and then I think he called it shrimping or some kind of shrimp or something like
Yeah.
that. So yeah, it's crazy if he can use those drills for dance. I'm sure the drills will be useful anyway, even if I don't end
Yeah.
up doing jujitsu.
Yeah, exactly. And that like keeping the body in control, I think is a huge thing in any sport, right? Like if
Yeah.
you can know exactly what every muscle and bone and joint are doing in your body, then you could probably complete and successfully do any kind of sport. But I think it's the mental training of your muscles, the mental training of, I mean, the physical training of your muscles, but the mental training of like, okay, I need to flex at this point, or I need to twist at this point, and not too soon, not too late. And yeah, which also reminds me of like cheerleading, where it's when you're doing a skill, it's all kind of about timing, because when you're doing a flip, you don't flip at the bottom, you jump up high and then you rotate and then you come down, right? You want to get as high
Interesting.
as you possibly can before flipping over, and then you land on your feet.
Okay. How do you decide when to rotate? Because that sounds impossible to me.
It's the mental, it's physical and mental training. So
Okay.
you just jump.
Yeah.
If I can think about it as simply as you possibly can, you jump with two hands in the air, and
Yeah.
then once you're basically at the top of your jump, then you bring your shins to your forehead, and then that momentum is going to flip you over.
Okay. I'm not going to try that, but it's cool to know.
But again, like if you rotate too soon, then you'll probably land like on your neck or on your knees, or you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it is about timing. And I just think about the drills that you're just talking about. It's the same thing where I don't know what shrimping is, but I'm assuming you're in some position and then you have to switch to another one as quickly as possible. So
No, it's just like you're on your back and you're just like kind of clawing at the air with your arms and legs.
oh, cool.
Yeah.
I feel like
I
I
mean,
do
it's
that
on
all the time when I
it's
try
on
to get
his
out of bed.
it's on his Instagram page. So I think
Okay.
it's probably in the last month or two he put the video up there. So
Okay. Cool.
yeah. Um,
Check it out.
yeah. So yeah, it's cool. It's nice to talk to someone about just training and working out in general.
Mm-hmm.
Because I get, first of all, just hearing uh, workouts, even if they're common, just
Mm-hmm.
stays fresh in my memory and it inspires me to keep doing it. Because it gets really boring if you're just doing your own thing and there's no one else there. Then you don't know, you don't have any insight.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So
That was
yeah, I
my favorite
really
thing about
enjoyed it.
cheerleading, right? You had
Okay.
like you saw the same people every day. You became close-ish with the people that you saw every practice. And I'm very much like a collaborator in terms of like my relationship style and teamwork style and leadership style. So it's like, okay, like I can hold you accountable, hold me accountable. Where when I was boxing, or if I'm individually running, or if I'm doing whatever, it's like, well, I'll go when I feel like it, or I'll go when I feel better, whatever better means, right? So having that team aspect, having the social aspect as well, to have people there is what I really like about cheerleading. Like I've always been an individual sports person, like track,
Oh yeah.
boxing, right? But the cheerleading was really stuck with me because of the team aspect, and I'm quite social. I'm sure you know. So
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting because yeah, I'm also just very individual
Mm-hmm.
performer, I guess is the word. Like I did
Yep.
track. Um, I mean, that's basically it. But running and just
Yeah.
working out because I tried out for the basketball team 3 times, didn't make it.
Yeah.
Um, in hindsight, I can understand why because I was like, I didn't really know how to play it in a team. It was just like, this is what I can do. Hey, pass the ball, pass it to someone
Yeah.
else.
Exactly.
But yeah, so that's like a whole nother level because I don't know. It's scary being part of a team. Like at work, it's different because for me, you're hired to do a job and you take ownership of that and you make sure that you do your job right and uh, help other people wherever you can. But in the sport, it's just like I don't know,
It is so
crazy.
much more technical.
Yeah,
You have to like read the map or the field or the court before it happens. It's very
Mhm.
chess like, where again,
Mhm.
cheerleading is like 5, 6, 7, move 1. Like you know exactly what you're doing every single time, and you keep
Right,
repeating it to perfection. There's no reading
right.
around. It's you work on your individual skills and your routine as a team. And then again, basketball, soccer, all that stuff. It's like, hey, throw the ball in front of the person. That way they're there. So then they
Yeah.
can, right? Like I was always so bad at that.
So yeah, has the COVID like has had a huge impact in your day to day, or how's that been?
Yeah. So again, it's been about a year for everyone, a little bit
Yeah.
over a year. And so I was working from home when the pandemic started and the daycares closed.
Oh,
And my kid was like starting to give up naps. So that was really, really hard for me being able to work from home. So I'd set up Frozen 2. Again, you got to do what you can as a parent. Set up Frozen 2, the computer next to me. I would do like email appointments, call appointments, and um, I try to schedule that according to when because my aunt was living with us at the time, to go for walks or have
mm,
lunch, or had a lot of family support. So thankful that I had that. But once I was able to go back to work, once the daycares opened and they didn't really close and start lockdown, it's been really nice to continue with what my normal schedule was, and my work never went away because it is essential. Like employment is essential, but it
right.
also is hard to find. It's hard to have the job of finding people jobs when people are losing their jobs. So it's so,
Right.
yeah. So it was like, okay, if there's no jobs right now, what can you do to make yourself better? How are you connecting with people to do those individual pitches? How, like, especially during the cold, like people don't have time for phone calls anymore. So how are you going to connect with those people to ask them for a job if one employer is getting 1,000 resumes a day, right? So
Right.
yeah, it's
S-
yeah,
So
it's
were
difficult.
there was there an increase in people looking for jobs then? Like since
Yeah,
the yeah.
and especially during school, right? Like I work for Youth Opportunities Unlimited. So a lot of younger people, right? If they're not in full-time school because they're doing online school, everyone's looking for jobs.
Mm,
Like, what else am I going to do? So um, we did see an influx in people wanting to look for work. But then also to go along with that, a lot of like anxiety and mental health with going out to work, right? Like there's
mm,
nothing so frightening where it's like, hey, I finally have the motivation to work. I'm finally ready to work. I have a job lined up. And then you realize, what does that mean to that individual when they actually have to leave their house to go to work, especially if it's like
Yeah.
in a grocery store, in fast food, or maybe even their dream job, right? So yeah, for me, I'm very thankful that I have a lot of privilege and didn't lose my job and didn't wasn't impacted as much as many other people. But
Right.
at the same time, like I found it hard to work with in the field that I did, because you kind of feel like
You're the
you
bad
can't do
guy.
anything. Yeah, like you can't, like there's always just like, okay, continue to be persistent, or continue to do this,
Yeah.
or what skills can you improve on if you're not if you want to work in customer service, like what skills can we make sure you do, or is there something, a training specifically that we can get you into? So it was more
Right.
navigating that until, so when the jobs came up, whatever that means again, or
Yeah.
when opportunities did, once there were more opportunities, then it was like, oh, this is a great opportunity, you're completely ready, right? But there's just so many layers to employment and to work, and people's
Yeah.
personal lives as well, right?
Yeah. I mean, as far as anxiety, yeah, for me, yeah, I've been looking for work since a few months before the pandemic began.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not really like terrible anxiety, but it's always on your mind. It's like, oh, it's been a year. Oh,
Yeah.
it's been more than a year. I don't have a job. Oh, it's
Yeah.
been like 6 months since my last interview.
Yep.
So it really took a year for me to uh, change. I don't know how to say this. Since whenever the pandemic began, I was regularly applying to like 2 or 3 jobs a day.
Mm-hmm.
Then after a few months, maybe end of last year, it was like, all right, I've had like 5 interviews, nothing's
Mm-hmm.
materialized. What can I do? Well, this strategy of just sending in applications is not really working. So I gotta
Yeah.
figure out another way to get in front of people's eyes. So, you hit up some friends or people, coworkers, you're like, is there a job opening at your company?
Mm-hmm.
So that didn't work out. Then I had a LinkedIn forever, but now I've started using it. At least, like, I always looked at LinkedIn cynically. It's like, because when you go through your feed, it's just
Yeah.
like, hey, I'm at this company. We're doing this great thing. Hey, I'm
Yeah.
at this other company. And then everyone's commenting, like, great job. You're doing great. This is amazing.
Yeah.
So just my initial reaction was like, okay, this is just professional Facebook. It's
Yeah.
it's anyway. But
I don't
then
have a
then I
LinkedIn, but that's how I perceive it as well, where I'm like,
yeah.
I don't really need that. I got rid of my Facebook for a reason.
Yeah, me too. I don't have Facebook either.
Yeah.
But now, you know, now that I'm trying to get involved in using LinkedIn, I look at it from a different perspective. Because
Mm-hmm.
before I was looking at it from the outside, like, oh, look at all these people. They're doing all this promotional
With
stuff.
their LinkedIn profiles and their professional pictures.
They're so fancy. They're
Yeah.
professionals. Um, but then I was just like, well, I guess I gotta get into it. I kind of need a job. So,
You're a
um,
professional too. Let's go.
uh, but yeah, but now I'm realizing it's actually useful if you just like if you have friends. I have a friend who also did the podcast. His name is Wakas. He's a biomedical engineer. But during the pandemic, he started his own uh, business selling gym equipment online with his wife. So,
Nice.
like when he posts, I think it's called Evo Health, based in
Mhm.
Mississauga. So when he posts stuff, if I hit the like button, I know it's useful for him because if I hit it a like, all my connections will see that post when they scroll
Mhm.
through their feed. So it could result in direct sales for him.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, for
in
sure.
that way, it's useful. It's like you're doing something useful for them. So yeah, I don't know how I got on there, but the point is, yeah, I mean, basically, after a year, I'm learning. I'm just trying out all these new tools. Like
Mhm.
LinkedIn has stories now, like Instagram, which is weird.
Oh, interesting.
And I've just been posting every day, but there's nobody uses it because only 4 people look at it. but I'm still doing it because it's a new technology. So yeah, I think that's a good thing to do if you can't get work.
Yeah.
Um,
Continue building like what
what
you're
can
doing.
you do? Yeah.
It's amazing to know that, like, because I think, yeah, you've been doing the podcast for a while. So I've followed a few of like your running adventures and stuff where I'm like, oh, that's really cool. I
Yeah.
haven't seen him in a while. And oh, that's cool that he's keeping busy. So again, that you're building that community, you're building that presence,
Yeah.
that online presence. And again, they're gonna be like, oh, actually it's pretty cool and has lots of great skills and is amazing with communicating with people, right? So then eventually that's like kind of how I, when agreeing to doing this, I was like, oh yeah, like so chill, so easy to speak with. So, like that's kind of like that's how I'm perceiving you now, is like your thing where it's, oh, you're easy to talk to, employable, trainable, easy
Oh,
going,
okay.
that kind of thing. So I think it's helpful. And again, it's what are you doing for anyone who's looking for work? Like, what else can you do? Like
Yeah.
training, and you're saying you're doing a course, so
Yeah.
there's a lot to you that.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm keeping busy. Yeah. Fortunately, I'm not right now. I'm not in a dire need uh, for money. It's
Mhm.
okay for now. I'm staying with my parents. It's obviously I would love to get out and start working, but what can you
Mhm.
do?
Yeah.
But it's good to hear that uh, by watching and doing the podcast, like what an employer would think. Actually, funny thing, one interviewer I had, um, we were doing the phone interview, and she just said, "Can I tell you something funny?" I was like, "Sure." And she was like, "I checked out your podcast." I was like, "Oh, okay, cool."
Oh.
And she was like, "I think you're doing great. You should keep doing it." And I was like, "Wow, okay, thank you." It was, you know, that surprised me. So I'm happy to hear some interviewers are checking it out. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. Um, Again, that presence, and they get the sense of your personality for, I'm not sure if obviously the outcome of that interview, right? Like it's interesting to know,
Yeah.
curious, like why? Like they're like, oh, but no, maybe there's so many other factors as well, right? They could have hired internally, could have hired
Yeah.
someone with different experience, or who knows, right? It's the hiring world is so subjective versus objective as
Yeah.
well. So
I'm learning that now. And yeah,
yeah,
that interview, the application is still in the pipeline, so I don't know where it's going, which is could work out also.
good luck. I
Um,
hope it's the best, right? And it's
yeah, thanks.
maintaining that connection, because maybe sometimes it might not be that position, but hey, this one is coming up soon. That kind of thing,
True.
right?
But that's the long game. That's hard.
It is a long
Like
game.
you can only forecast it from experience. And when I mean, I'm not that young anymore, but when you are trying to get like early 20s people hired, it's like, I imagine it's like hard to convince them. It's like, you just keep doing it, you'll get it. And they're like, yeah, I've heard that before. It's like, I want a
Yeah,
job now.
yeah. And it's funny that you say that, because I've volunteered in this one particular service for throughout my life, like since I could start working volunteering. And um, that was kind of like my thing, where it's like the more people know who know me from this service, the more I'll make those connections. And by the time I'm ready to apply, they'll know that I have some of the skills. So now I have to just tell them in an interview that I have the skills or the experience, and even use that volunteering as my leverage as well. Be like, yeah, I have direct experience because of X, Y, and Z. And that is a long game. It's been an 11-year game for me. So
Yeah.
um, yeah, it's tough, and it's
Wait,
everything's
so
different too, right? So
is that like, was that the plan from the beginning? It's like,
yeah,
or yeah. Wow, that's impressive because to
yeah,
stick with it for, yeah, that's crazy.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, it's been a marathon. So
Yeah.
dreams come true.
Um, but yeah. But yeah, so yeah, I'm doing the course. It's supposed like it's a power electronics course online, so hopefully it
Mhm.
helps with the resume, and it's fun. Well, I mean, I think it's fun. I've only done it for 2 days so far, but we'll see. But yeah, anyway,
I always applaud like
yeah.
engineers and the software and the digital world stuff because I'm not very literate in the tech world. So I'm always like, love
Hmm.
hearing about how it's fun. Where for me, it's like, this is awful. This is, well, how is that fun? Right. So,
Well, okay, so it's funny you say that because like I went into I did engineering, electrical engineering at Waterloo,
mhm,
and in high school when we had to apply, I wasn't sure where to apply or what to apply, but I settled on engineering because I thought it would be tough, and it was way more tough than I thought.
mhm.
One semester was in January to April, and I had class from 8:30 to 6:30. So I basically didn't see the sun for like
Oh,
5 days in
that's
a
so
row.
hard. Yeah.
But to kind of summarize the experience, it was just really tough because uh, you're doing 5 or 6 courses. You always have a deadline. You go
Mhm,
to class, then you're eating and working and sleeping, and
mhm,
I chose that to be my focus. So the whole experience for me, looking back on it, is like it just creates a sense of tension. So anytime
mhm.
I see a circuit or an engineering problem, it's like, okay, here we go. But
Go
now,
back and okay, the only way I can solve this if there's no sunshine, I'm also eating and drinking coffee, and I'm in a room in
I gotta
silence in the
lose 20 pounds. I gotta just look like I don't care about anything.
dark. Yeah.
But no, no. What I'm learning now is, I've been hesitant to kind of like take charge of it and kind of do things on my own time. But I figured out, like with this online course, the idea is I'm gonna do an hour every day. It's online. So you kind of go at your own pace. So I'm basically reprogramming what what is engineering to me by taking it slow, doing it every single day, and instead of doing 5 courses at a time, you do one course, you focus on it, so that you enjoy it, right? Like
Yeah.
if you challenge yourself every day a little bit, in the long run, you get really, really good at it, and you might start enjoying it.
Mhm.
But if you just decide on the first day, I'm gonna run a 10-second 100 meter, it's like,
Or you're
you
gonna
know,
go on the bike, right?
yeah,
It
or
comes
and
back to
you
the bike thing that you were talking about.
then you just feel bad, and you just keep trying to get the 10 seconds every day. You feel bad every day, and then you just have a really bad feeling associated with
Mhm.
it. So yeah, I think it's a work in progress. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm enjoying the ride.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, I think that's so cool, and I love when like computer people and very, very intelligent and smart people are like, oh, like, did you know? And like, click, 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 click. And then it's like,
Oh, you like that? Okay.
it just ends up happening and you're like, what? I just like,
Uh,
I love it. And I love hearing it. Even though I don't understand, sometimes when you even hear the passion of people's voices when they're trying to explain something or hear what their
hmm.
experiences are, I'm like, oh, so cool. Don't understand, but so cool. And like as genuine as it could be when listening to people speak to that. So fun.
Well, I mean, what do you know in digital electronics, it's basically a zero or a one. You
Yes.
understand that, right? Okay. Well, that's
Yep.
good. That's a good start.
Yes,
That's
that's
basically
all I
how they
know.
design things.
I feel like
Yeah.
it's almost like when I think about like the zeros and one, I think about like Morse code, where it's like essentially
Oh,
it's just taps, like zeros or ones. That's how I associate the the technical
oh, yeah. I
electronic world.
guess. I guess I don't know much about Morse code, but yeah, basically you have
I mean, neither do
transistors, which
I.
oh, basically you have transistors, which are like a circuit component,
Mhm.
and I mean, it depends what you're using it for, but in digital circuits, you're right. Like you can use them to turn things on or off, like a switch, basically.
Mhm.
Anyway, I don't know. Is that something you want to learn, or it's just cool to hear?
It's cool to hear. I think like in small doses, like I think that it's
Yeah,
always so much information that I get overwhelmed where I'm like, hey, I don't understand anymore. And I was never a science person. Like I'm very social science, like emotional intelligence type style, like social
yeah.
intelligence kind of person. So when people find me overwhelming, I always try to like I see it in the other way where I'm like, oh my God, these numbers and these words are overwhelming for me. So
So,
yeah, I think I have another really techie friend where I'm like, oh cool, and then I'm like, hey, I'm sorry, but I'm done, and then I'll have other whoever's in the conversation as well continue that. But like I'll tap into it again. I just need a break on my mind because it's a lot of information, and again, it's
yeah.
just so interesting to see how diverse people are at
Mm.
the end of the day. Where it's like, oh, like I talk about this all day, and then you can talk about this all day, and where and when at what
That
point do lives
that's what
collide
I
and
that's what I love about listening to podcasts. It's like you can hear about new stuff, but you don't really have to learn about it. It's like you'll
yeah,
remember one or two things and be
mhm,
like, wow, that's cool.
yeah, and then use it for trivia, use it for
Yeah, that's the thing.
fun facts.
When you're watching
My
Jeopardy, it's
thing
like,
now, I'm like, I need a trivia brain. Like, I just want to get really good at trivia.
what
What do
is a
I know?
transistor? Yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So yeah, no, I you should include me in your May workout challenge.
Oh, you want to do it? That's
I
awesome.
kind of
Okay.
do. Yeah. If the invite's there.
Oh, of course.
Okay.
What do you want to challenge yourself with?
I don't know. I'm usually like a tag along type person, so I'll kind of go with the
Okay.
flow with whatever challenge is going on.
Well, okay, I'll tell you what I've done so far.
Okay.
So I do personal challenges and I do like group challenges. So for
Yeah.
group challenges, I've done running, which is basically run far as you can, more than other people. Then we did a push-up challenge 1 month.
Ooh, that
Uh,
was just fun.
that was crazy. I don't know how, but one day I did 390 push-ups.
Okay, I don't know if I can ever do that, but that's pretty amazing.
That was do 15 push-ups every 30 minutes. So it wasn't too bad.
Yeah. Oh, that's pretty
So
good.
we did push-up challenge. Then we did, I think we did not a walking challenge. What was it? Oh, a plank challenge. That was so hard. I
Plank
think
is
I
hard.
ended up, we counted it in seconds. So I ended up over the month getting around 10,000 seconds or something like that. But the
Wow.
winner was like 20,000.
What?
It was the same. My friend's girlfriend. She's a savage. Like
She's
she
a
doesn't
tank.
lose.
Yeah. Wow. She's impressive.
Yeah.
So was
Yeah.
the
So
was the plank on the hands or on the elbows?
we didn't really specify. I did the elbows.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah. So, and this month for me, my personal challenge is a hip thrusts.
Hmm.
Last month I did a walking. Next month, I don't know. I mean, actually, this month I was supposed to do run 2K every day, but I don't know. We could do that, I guess.
Okay. I'd be down for that. A 2K run every day.
Yeah. I mean, the way I do it is like, I think it's better if we have like a monthly goal. Like, for example, when I did the walking challenge with my friend, the challenge was who can accumulate the most kilometers. So that
Hmm.
was the group challenge, but my personal challenge was I want to do it every day. So,
Yeah.
uh,
Oh, I like that.
so we can do it that way if you want. Like running, is you want to choose a target, or you just want to see who can go the farthest. Yeah.
I feel like the going every day might be the challenge in itself.
Okay. Okay.
But I'm again, it's a challenge for a reason. So
Yeah.
uh, we can maybe do like run every day, or maybe we can have it like weighted. So actually, I don't know. I don't know.
All right. Well,
Well,
think of some ideas
Yeah,
and
yeah,
send
and
them your
include me
way.
next month. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, yeah, we'll do that. Actually, one of my other challenges, which is not fitness related, is I make sometimes I've made YouTube videos, little clips aside from the podcast, and I haven't done that for a few months. So
Mhm.
in May, I want to film between 2 and 5 minutes of video content per day, every day, so that by the end of the month, I have between an hour and 2.5 hours of content.
Mhm.
And then the following month in June, I have the whole month to create an awesome video and shrink it down to 5 minutes.
Oh, I
So
love
I
that.
think that will be fun. Yeah.
That's a good way to get into that too. Smart. So you're not like overwhelmed. It's just like, hey, take it easy, film where I can, and at the end, it's like creation. It's the masterpiece that comes from it. That actually reminded me of I saw an Instagram post of this person. I can't remember who it was. It was like probably from 2 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, and they made us a reel of 1 second every day, and
Oh.
it was really cool because then it was like 1 second was from their cheerleading life, one was like when they were swimming, one was like they're
Yeah.
on their walk to school, another was like in their lecture. Like it was 1 second per
Yeah.
day, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. Yeah, so
I think, yeah, I like that approach because you have all these ideas, but if you want to do 10 different things and you want to
mhm.
do them really well, you just can't really do that because it's just like working out, in my opinion. You got to put your reps in.
Mhm.
So, for example, if you're filming every day for 2 to 5 minutes, the first few days are just going to be like you're just filming a bird or something.
Yeah,
And then,
yeah.
and then by the end of it, you have ideas like, oh, yeah, I mean, this angle's good. Or
Mhm.
yesterday, I saw this goose, a lone goose on top of this community center. And I was at the bottom and I was like, this is a great picture. It's just a goose on a lookout on top
Yeah.
of a building. So I took the picture, and it's not specifically video related, but yeah, that thought it comes from practice. It's like
Mhm.
I've tried taking cool photos for so long or looking, then once you see it, you're like, okay, this is it. So
Yeah.
that comes in with the reps, is my point.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Like learning that skill or finessing that skill just constantly takes practice. And yeah, I've always loved videography and photography. So I'm excited to see the content when it comes out.
Yeah,
It'll be good.
that's
No
yeah,
pressure.
it's cool.
I saw it, you're like, oh shit. Like, oh, sorry, excuse me. Like, I saw that
Well,
the distress in you
the,
there. There's no pressure. I just love, like, again, I just love to see things and see where they come about. So it'll be cool because we're talking
just
about it now.
I'm just disappointed because last month I told someone in a podcast that I'm gonna do 2K every day in April, and I ended up not doing it because I felt like I would get injured because
Mhm.
I just wasn't sure. Like I didn't want to get injured, so I decided to postpone it. So yeah, hopefully next month it'll be the month.
Next month will be you and me and
Yeah,
whoever else.
yeah, I'll get some people. You get some people. When we did the push-up challenge, we had this Google spreadsheet, and
Mhm.
we just put in every day, like you put the date and the amount of push-ups, so that makes it too competitive. Because like I
It
would
is competitive.
I would log in, I would go into the spreadsheet at 11 p.m. and then just crank out a lot so that I could have more than other people on that day. Because
Yeah.
by 11 p.m., no one else is doing push-ups. But
Yeah.
then by
Everyone's
the end of it, everyone was on at 11 p.m. just like cranking out push-ups.
oh my gosh. It'll be like push up challenge before 6 a.m. I'm in. like,
Oh man, that's crazy. Yeah, but
yeah.
this should be fun.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. Yeah, I just sorry to go back to like your filming, like there could be, depending on what it is, lots of B-roll, and never underestimate B-roll content. That's always like the most key part. It's like, oh, this is some words, but here are the words, the pictures to describe the words or something related, right? So I find like having a lots of like the variety of the content is going to be useful for whatever is to come.
Yeah, yeah,
It's exciting.
yeah, it's really just an exercise in video editing
Mhm.
and filming,
Yeah.
because I don't know, because it's really up to me. I'm not sure what to do with it. It After filming everything and putting the video together, the question will be, what story do I want to tell? Should it
Mhm.
be an accurate, realistic story in chronological order, or should I just take a bunch of clips, make up a fake story because it's just funny that way? You know, like
Mhm.
for example, if I go to if I go get a coffee at a drive-through one on day two, and then on day four I do the same thing, but something happens after the drive-through, like you have
Mhm.
geese crossing in front of you. So I could just put those together from 2 different days just to create a story.
Mhm.
And
I like that.
the goal is not to be accurate, or like it's, you know what I mean? Like it's real, but it's not real, if that makes
Yeah, it's
sense.
a story, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Say you could almost do like a two-part, depending on how if it like prompts like that motivation and that creative flow. You could almost do like a variety of different things with the same content and be like, this is really how
Oh,
creative you can get with just wanting to edit or just wanting to film and just wanting to do whatever. So yeah, you
yeah,
could do like
that's
chronological of like, oh, this is the order in which I filmed, and this is how it came out, and that's could be like a teaching moment for you or other people who are seeing the content or inspire you or other people. Okay, so
yeah, that's next level. That's basically like the Justice League movie. You know, they have the
true.
Justice League, then they have Zack Snyder's Justice League. So you'll have like I don't know what to say, like the geese crossing the road, and then the next video will be like, I don't even know. It's a bad example, but you get the idea.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I
So
love it. So fun.
how are we doing for time? I mean, I gotta go soon anyway.
Yeah, I think we have about 15 minutes or so. So we could,
Okay. But you're good?
yeah, I'm good. So
Yeah, so I'm excited.
the weather
You
is
have
like
any
nice for exercise and stuff. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. So go ahead. What were you
do you
saying?
have any projects going on, or like anything going on, I
So
guess?
we recently moved. We're fully moved in, except for I have to bring a couple of like my like my hung clothing to our house. But I'm repainting one of the walls, so I have to do that between now and May. And that's kind of it for me. I'm just kind of
Oh,
waiting. So
so
this was my project.
oh yeah, the is it a cork board, or is
Board,
it
yep,
just
my cork
yeah, okay.
board.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that's cool. Yeah, and we talked about the drawings behind you, which is you have a
Yep.
rainbow ice
My
cream, which
daughter
is awesome.
the ice cream cone and a rainbow, an artiste. I'm pretty sure my niece drew them and she colored them. So, but
Oh,
she
okay,
loves
okay.
them.
Yeah. For Have you painted before, like walls and stuff like that?
Yeah, I love it. We loved it. I remember I would like beg my mom to like paint our basement, and it was really fun for me to paint my bedroom. And I painted my daughter's bedroom in our old house, and I really, really enjoy it. It's really therapeutic. Or I'm just like there hours just doing this.
You got to put coats and coats and coats, so many layers, right?
On the white, yes. Like our bedroom and my daughter's bedroom has white on it, and I hate that. I got the special paint from Home Depot where it's like guaranteed one coat. But in the living room that we painted, it's already fully painted, but we were very, very tight on paint. So we were like, let's just get all the walls done, even though it's patchy. So I'm just going to go back and do that because I knew that I would have a lot of time off between now and May. So that's kind of my project. I haven't started that yet more because I'm like, last week was like finishing moving in. This week is like kind of figure out the direction I want to get, last minute things. And then so I think next week I'll just finish up my painting and do anything kind of else. Start
What do
running.
you do with what do you do with old paint? Like how long does it last? Do you know?
I have no idea. I assume fairly long because people typically keep their paint cans, and then if they need to
Oh,
do
okay.
touch-ups, they just use it. But you might need to
Okay.
get it like remixed or something. Yeah.
Yeah, I have some
Yeah, we got a new
paint
brand new
cans,
paint.
but
Sorry.
I'm afraid to open it because I don't want it to be like moldy or
I don't think it'll mold because it's pretty tight, right? Like as long as it's canned in or closed properly, then there's no air in or out. And I think that's what causes most of the
oh,
mold.
okay, okay.
Um, unless like some food fell in and is now growing, you may have a new
Gross.
plant of sorts in there. But yeah, I think it'll be okay. And I think you can bring your can of paint to the mixer store and they'll like mix it for you. And then,
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't
yeah,
know anything about paint, so this is great, great things I'm hearing.
yeah, I think they can do that. I think I've seen people do that, but I don't know how long they've held their paint. But I've used paint from like 4 years ago and or even more than that actually, if I think about it. Probably like 7 years ago and it was still fine. Just
Oh,
mix
okay.
it. You have to take off like the layer of like thick paint.
Oh, there's like a what do you call it? Like a when you boil milk, there's the layer on top
Yeah,
when
yeah,
you
yeah.
take
I
it
used to
out.
like peel it off.
Yeah, yeah. Man,
It's
that's
almost like
crazy.
taking like glue and like peeling it off
Oh
your hand.
yeah, yeah.
Same thing.
What is it? Elmer's glue or whatever from
Yes.
elementary school.
The good old
Wow.
days.
I don't know if they still use Elmer's glue? Do you know?
I think so.
Wow.
I feel like I bought a glue stick that was Elmer's glue a while ago.
Mm.
It's more efficient than the glue stick for like glitters and like, you know.
Oh, okay. But if you use a glitter, won't you see the white glue underneath the glitter? Like,
I think it dries clear. Does it dry clear? I don't know
oh,
anymore. I'm really, I haven't done arts and crafts in a while. Huh.
yeah. Yeah, but the glue sticks suck because they never stick. They're
Never.
only good for envelopes and that's it.
Yeah. Or like temporary, like it's up on the wall and then take it down
Yeah.
after.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah,
I don't know
I'm
how we
thinking
got
of
on
doing
to.
like I do have a house project. We
Yeah.
have 3 mirrors and one of them is like, two of them actually are really, really old. And so I want to sand down the one and repaint it white or black, like the frame.
Okay.
And then I have
Okay.
another mirror that's a complete circle and it's just mounted on a piece of wood. So I don't know how to make that look pretty. Like I want to kind of keep it tight, but it's
Mhm.
almost like sitting on two hooks and there's one hook on the top that's non-existent. So I want to secure it better. So I'm going to try to get creative on how to secure that. And then I have one other mirror that is in perfect condition that I'm like, where should I put this in the house? So
Oh. Are they standing mirrors or just you want to put them on the wall?
yeah, so two of them are circle. Like the one
Okay.
kind of beat up one is a circle on a piece of wood, like a thick piece of wood, and then the other one is a square, a rectangle. And then the other's a circle, but again, it already has its own frame and looks really nice. So yeah.
So
And
you're just trying to make it look nice, right?
the circle one where I'm like, I could frame this. Like, I just think of like a bike tire, and you know how it has like the tube. I was like, I wish there was something like that that didn't look like a tire, so I could just like secure it around, like a pool noodle or something, just to secure it. Because I'm like,
It's
I don't want it to
interesting.
break, ruin my floors,
Oh,
break the legs in
okay.
pieces, that kind of thing. So I'm
That's
just gonna work on
interesting.
the sanding one first, the rectangle one, and just sand it and paint it.
Okay. That's cool. Yeah. I mean, it's the time for house projects. It's
Yeah,
April.
lots of time off now. So
I know the 1 month emergency lockdown. It's gonna be
I
another
know,
3 weeks or so.
so
Yo,
crazy. Just
well,
think,
you know what's really crazy is I went to Walmart and you couldn't buy like clothes and stuff. It's like, I think this is the third. I think this is the third emergency lockdown.
Yeah.
But for the first two, you could buy it, but now you can't. I
Yeah.
personally don't know why. I don't understand. It's like I
Well,
want to buy that ball for the workouts, but I can't.
oh yeah, you can do curbside pickup, but that's I was having this conversation with my partner because
Oh,
we got a vacuum from Walmart, like
right.
the vacuum that also mops, and we were just saying like if you don't have a vehicle or access to internet or something to get internet on, you really have no way of accessing curbside pickup. Right?
Yes.
You can't really. It's not inclusive at all. It's like really dividing. And if you get me into like into my social head, it's a complete divvy of society where it's like, yes, if you have internet, a computer, or a cell phone, as well as a credit card, because some people don't even have credit cards, as well as a vehicle to pick up your thing, that's the only way you can pick up your curbside stuff. You're like, or order, even just order. And I'm like, oh, it boggles my mind. Completely boggles my mind. And like my partner was at Dollarama yesterday. Here I am on this tangent. And I was like, oh, do you mind getting me like twine or safety pins? And I was just making a craft for like some of my girls, and they weren't selling safety pins. They're non-essential, which I was like, safety pins going for safety pins.
That's pretty essential, I think. Yeah.
I know, that's what I thought too. And then so he went to the garden center, like the garden section, and he got green twine and not brown twine. And I was like, okay, that's fine. But he came back, was even more upset than me. He's like, I just don't understand who had decided this. Like
Yeah.
because we need a strainer for our house. We couldn't get a strainer. He could get garden wire and garden twine. So it makes sense, like, yes, but also like
no, I don't think it makes sense because
yeah,
I don't know. I have ideas why they're doing it, but I don't really want to get into it because I don't have any proof for it. So,
I know. Many reasons. Yeah. Like it makes sense for like big box stores to not sell things that other small stores can't. That's the only rationale I can think of. But then at the same time, like we were talking about going to the dollar store for like sensory items if your kid has a sensory, like a disability where you need sensory items to like touch and feel, and you can't go to the craft section. So then that's essential for that family to ensure that their development, their security, and their well-being is well taken care of, but they can't access the craft section unless they have a credit card to go online to do curbside pickup. And again, it's like this mouthful.
I mean, like a year ago, or I guess summer last year, there were complaints, at least from what I've heard from small businesses, that like grocery stores and stuff like that, who couldn't compete with the big box stores because the big box stores like Walmart would sell groceries and stuff. So if you want to get stuff that's not food, you might as well go there. So if you're a small grocery store, you can't really. I mean, it's hard to compete. But
100%.
Now, technically, it's fair if you look at it from that perspective. It's like, okay, the big box stores can only sell groceries, but now it's just annoying for me because I was able to buy stuff and now I can't. It's like, it's fair, but doesn't make sense.
It's like equality, equity, like
it's
like there's really no winning in this pandemic. Everyone's suffering in some capacity, so
that's true. I mean, yeah, I it's not a huge problem. Like it's just annoying. Like I said, it's not like
a huge inconvenience for anyone and everyone. Like,
so I mean, it is a pandemic. It's like everything's up in the air. I think, I think whoever is in charge wouldn't make 100% great decisions anyway, but well, that's how it is. And hopefully we'll get through it, and
we will get through it.
Maybe there's a small chance we could do summer sports this year, maybe in August or September.
If you're down, like I'm actually like extremely down to just get a few people up. And I think again, like soccer, baseball, like kickball is a pretty like you're not in close contact. Or frisbee, you always have to be one
Frisbee?
arm lengths away, right? So we could definitely try to figure out a sport that meets guidelines, and as long as we're outside
Yeah,
as
I'm
well.
down.
You're down. Okay,
Frisbee,
we'll get the
soccer,
group back
baseball,
together.
maybe an obstacle course, but that would require a lot of work.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And like the first thing that you need to do in the obstacle course is sanitize.
yeah, I guess so. I mean,
I'm just complicating things. I'm trying to get fun in the midst of this pandemic. Okay, but if you're
or
down, I'll
gar
plan that. So May
okay.
challenge, finish challenge,
Challenge,
and
yep.
then summer, depending on when it is, we'll try to do a sportings.
Yeah, we might have to postpone it like October latest if
Mhm.
depending on the whole vaccine situation.
Yeah, very
Um,
true.
it's ideally it would be like last week of August or early September because then
Yeah,
it's like the weather is starting to cool off, but it's still warm.
yeah,
Yeah, so we'll do
for
that.
it.
But
Wonderful.
yeah, I want to thank you again for
Yeah,
this was a great chat.
I had a good time.
it's it's like obviously it would be nice to see you in person, but
Hmm.
this is the second best thing, and I really appreciate it.
No, I really enjoyed catching up with you and chatting with you, and this continues on, right? So I'm excited to see you and connect with you in the future with our challenges. I'm excited for
It,
it.
is there anything you need to promote or you want to?
Not necessarily. Like again, my main message for anyone and everyone out there is like promoting your own mental health, showing up for yourself, investing in yourself are really big things for me. And um to like continue to improve yourself and continue to improve your community, whatever your community may involve, because it takes a village. And because we're in this pandemic, you're gonna need others. You're gonna need yourself, but you also need others. So show up for yourself, show up for other people, and be kind, be awesome, be a baddie. I always feel like you can show up for yourself, and the perception of other people doesn't really matter because you just need to do what's best for you and your people. So
Beautiful.